Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the XR Update podcast. How you doing? It's so good to see you. I'm feeling pretty great. My name's Alex, Alex VR. I sometimes go by. I will be hosting the show today. It is October 22nd, 2024, and joining me is the amazing podcast talent of Damian Ruffy, aka Dscruffles, the host of the Rough Talk VR podcast and a member of the Impact Reality team. Damian, what's up, dude? Good to see you.
Man, good to be here. I love this concept because there's no shortage of things to talk about in the VR world, right? It's like each week it's a whole new agenda of things. So I think we got a fun one ahead of us today.
Dude, things just keep picking up steam. Things just keep getting more and more exciting all the time. Technology gets better, gets into the hands of more people. Cool new games keep coming out. I mean, there have been worse times to be involved in the VR space.
Yeah, especially with the Quest 3 out, Batman, a whole bunch of games coming out soon. I mean, this is probably the best time for somebody to be getting into VR. They're so spoiled with the library they have available these days.
Yeah, you are completely correct. In fact, let's just I kind of want to just start to get into stuff, Damian, if that's okay with you. So let me start by saying today on the show, we have a guest. We've been doing that. I don't think that's going to stop. Today, the team from SkyStrikers is going to be joining us from Chamber8 Studios. They made a game. It's kind of like Rocket League meets Gorilla Tag. So it's like Gorilla Tag movement, but ball sport stuff, kind of like you would see in Rocket League or Nock. Did you ever play Nock, by the way, Damian?
Oh my goodness, it's so good. I have a question for those developers because one of the bots in that game is my last name, and I've never been able to figure that out because that's not a common name, you know?
Dude, that would be sick if they just stole your name and put it in there.
I don't know what happened there, but I'm calling it how I see it, you know?
I'm gonna ping Max. The guy's named Max. He's the dude who made Nock. I'm gonna ping him. I'm gonna find out because that would be super cool. And for the record, SkyStrikers will be what we talk about today. But I also love Nock, so don't sleep on that game either. It's super fun and kind of similar.
So much potential for VR sports.
Dude,
still untapped.
For sure, man. I got to go to the VR Con 2 years ago, not this year, but last year. And I was so impressed watching these kids, which they are all young, like they're young and not old and broken like me. These kids playing Blast On, man. Like they were so dynamic in their movements, just like huge lunges, jumping, hitting the deck. Like it was super, super impressive. So I cannot wait to see VR esports kind of take it more seriously.
Well, I'm not proud to say that my 50-year-old father, who I host my podcast with, he beats me pretty badly in Blast On. So
does he?
I can't really explain that one because there's about a 30-year age difference there, but I get my butt handed to me.
Right, and you're an active dude. You do
I know. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. He just
know how to change your levels, bro.
he gets me. It's funny.
Wow. Well, hey,
So don't sleep on the old guys, is what I'm saying. They have some years in the video games world.
Dude, for real. My dad's not a gamer, but he is a golfer, and he whoops me in every golf game. Like Walkabout, Golf Plus, like it doesn't matter not being a gamer, just those golf skills do translate. So, and that's kind of my point. It's like these are real like body skills that translate into VR with the VR esports. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome to talk to these guys and kind of figure out what their approach has been to VR esports. But before we do that, like you mentioned, Damian, there are a handful of awesome news topics that have been popping up. And I thought maybe we could cruise on over to the XR Update Twitter and take a look at some recent blurbs and have a quick chat about them. What do you say to that?
That sounds good to me.
Well, that just sounds amazing. All right, let's just flow right into it. So first things first, I don't want to spend too much time on Batman, but I think we kind of have to mention this tweet came out yesterday, or what do they call them? Posts? Yeah, this post on X came out yesterday. But the game is out now. Batman Arkham Shadow has launched on the Quest 3 exclusively on Quest 3S. It actually comes with the Quest 3S, which is super awesome. And guess what? They casted Elijah Wood as Scarecrow in this game. That is completely amazing. He is such a famous actor. That is true A-list status stuff. So to get somebody like this in this game and to have it make such a splash is just so good for virtual reality.
Am I crazy to say it feels like this is a full-blown AAA game? I mean, with cast, with the production value, the gameplay length, the gameplay quality, this is what people have been wanting on standalone VR in terms of game quality for so long.
Yes, and I have not tried it yet. and I am so excited to get into it later today. And I've seen 99% positive reviews. I've seen a couple of people mention that there are a few bugs, which I guess is to be expected on a launch day. A lot of things pop up that maybe the developers didn't plan for or weren't expecting, or frankly didn't get time to get to. So it'll be really cool to see those things get hammered out and like really put this game kind of like in a place where nobody can really say anything about it. You know what I mean?
If I remember correctly, Asgard's Wrath 2 didn't really have a whole bunch of performance issues, but got some pretty quick updates as well too. It wasn't like the developers released and went on vacation for 3 months, 6 months, and then got around stuff. It was pretty right to work. So any performance issues, I have full faith in Camouflage and the Oculus Studios team that they'll polish out whatever those hiccups are
Well,
pretty pretty quickly.
shout out to Camouflage. They did they did Iron Man VR and kind of like set the stage for these like major IPs and superheroes to get into the VR space. And now they have apparently done it with Batman. I'll be able to know for sure later today, but I'm kind of trusting the opinion of all of my dear friends when they say that this is good. So I cannot wait to get into it a little bit later.
What are they gonna do next? Spider-Man? Aquaman?
Seriously,
Imagine if they went
yeah.
Aquaman next. That would be such a letdown, but Spider-Man seems like the no-brainer for VR.
I feel like that's the superhero that everybody's been waiting for, like
Mhm.
truly. I mean, don't get me wrong, Batman has a massive fan base, huge following, and there are some people who would rather see Batman than Spider-Man, but I think there's probably more who'd rather see Spider-Man. So I think that might be next on the docket. Also, just like a nice little thing, I'll shout out Looper, the Underground Game Cat. He also said that Elijah Wood also produced Transference. So I guess he's been involved in the VR space for a minute, which is kind of cool.
Wow. I like when big actors and such, they take a look on, games, but I mean, in this case, particularly VR gaming as well too. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, another little bit of evidence that VR is trending in the direction that we have all known that it can and will and should be. I mean, for a lot of us in the VR space, adoption of this technology is just an inevitability. Like I saw this and I was like, okay, yeah, everyone's doing this in the future. You know what I mean? So like I'm just been kind of like a lot of people just waiting for the day where that happens. And when I see stuff like this, it really feels like we are taking big steps towards it.
Absolutely. We're there,
Yep.
baby.
We're there. We're getting there, man. And also I wanted to mention the Quest 3S came out, right? Batman comes with a free copy of Batman. If you buy the Quest 3S, you get a free copy of this game, which is also a pricier game. Like how much is this in US
I
dollars?
I'll double check. I think it's 50, but I mean, when you look at the Quest 3S only being 299, I mean, and
That's a massive chunk.
look, there's gonna be a lot of Batman Arkham Asylum like Batman fans who are buying their first ever VR headset because of this. So that's a huge weight off their shoulders that they don't need to buy the headset and the game as well too for those new VR users. They
Yep.
boom, 299, you get a headset and well, I mean, what I would consider to be a AAA VR game. That's amazing.
Yeah, totally, it really is. And I mean, I spent the last week in Virginia, visiting some family, hanging out with my brother and his kids, and my kid nephew, who is 12 years old. So I guess he's not super. He's still a kid, but he's like starting to get a little bit older now. We all went to Best Buy because I wanted to pick up the new Mario Party game for the Switch because I love Mario and Nintendo. And if you don't know that about me, then we're not friends, I guess. And I really wanted Mario Party, so we went to Best Buy and my little Neff sees the Quest 3S sitting there on the shelf and he sees a $299 price tag and he realizes that he has like $400 to $500 that he's gotten from like birthdays and Christmases and stuff. And he was like, I want this. And we were like, and it was completely unprovoked. Like he knows that I'm
Mhm.
involved in VR, but like it wasn't provoked. I wasn't like, hey man, you should check this out. He just walked over, he saw the headset, he saw the price tag, and he's like, I'm gonna buy this for myself, Dad. Is that okay? And my brother's like, yeah, man, it's your money. So boom, he bought a Quest 3S and we went
Now
home
he has
and set
Batman.
it up. And now he has Batman.
Dude,
So
you're gonna
pretty cool.
ruin that kid. That kid's gonna be ruined for other gaming. When he gets to be Batman at whatever kid age he is, like, do you know how incredible that experience is? When you first see the the bat spikes as you're walking up and it comes up the shadow and you're like, "Holy moly, I am Batman." That's going to be a
Yeah.
hard experience to be as a kid in terms of video games.
And the Quest 3S is a powerful machine. It delivers awesome VR experiences. It's the right price. So, and it's being really well received by media outlets too. So,
Mhm.
this could be, a moment in the sun for VR. This holiday season could like really make a difference. So I'm excited to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, and it is 49.99, but 4.8 overall, 542 ratings as of the time we're talking about this. I bet you if I refreshed my page in about 2 minutes, it might be a couple more ratings. So don't
Yep.
hold me true to that number, but it's doing very well.
Yep, that is completely awesome. And this is just such a good thing for people who are entering the space. Now, maybe you've been in the space for a while and maybe you've been looking for these types of AAA experiences on your Quest for some years now, which I think a lot of us have been. Um, haven't had a ton of options, but one of the options that we have all had that maybe I'm informing some of you out there about this is our buddies at Team Beef, man. The Team Beef VR ports, dude, they take these AAA games from yesteryear and turn them into incredible VR experiences. And the best of them, in my opinion, has been Doom3Quest. Doom3Quest is so sick. The graphics are awesome. The gameplay is awesome. It translates perfectly into VR. And for those who have played it previously, and maybe those who haven't yet played it, this is really your best opportunity to get in there because the Halloween update for Doom3Quest from Team Beef introduces physically based rendering shaders, enhancing texture realism by simulating light interactions on surfaces. The players can also toggle the shaders and adjust the strength and the settings. So basically, what this is all saying is that there's an update that has dramatically increased the fidelity of the lighting and the textures in the game. So it already looked good. So if you've been sleeping on this, like this is really your opportunity to get in there and check it out.
Bringing the beef. Yeah, man, these guys are incredible. The work that they do, the fact that have you played their Jedi Knight ports, and then they had Tomb Raider come out? I mean, this team is unbelievable.
They really are. Like
Look
these
at the
games,
lighting on that.
I'm telling you, like if you have not, even if you've heard of this and you've just been sleeping on it, like let this be your sign. Like go download these Team Beef games. You can often you do have to like own the like Steam versions, I guess, of these games to like get all of this stuff to work. But so often they're on sale for like $2-3. I think I got Quest 3 for like, or I mean Doom 3 for like $3.
Mhm.
So they're so easy to get into, and the quality of these experiences, like cannot be understated. Like you really need to check out Team Beef ports if you haven't done so yet. And I mean, what a better place to start than Quest 3? Or I
They
mean, I keep saying Quest 3, but Doom 3.
Yeah, they legitimate too many threes. They legitimately have some of the best lightsaber mechanics in their Jedi Knight ports. I mean, dude, this team crushes it. Look at that. That
hmm
is insane.
Yep. It's really, really good. And I mean, they have Quake 3 Arena up in there, dude. I was murking people in Quake in VR, man, especially because I'm pretty sure, I'm like 95% sure that if you play Quake 3 Arena online, the multiplayer, you are actually playing on the Quake 3 servers and like you're up against people who are playing on a flat screen, which is honestly completely unfair. Like if you are in VR going up against somebody on a flat screen, you are going to body them because you can aim in directions that you're not looking, unlike a flat screen gamer where their guns kind of attach to their chin. So I'll be like running from you, looking that direction, but shooting behind me, like murking people, man. Like I went hard. I went
Yeah,
hard.
VR games have destroyed flat screen shooters for me because, as you said, there's nothing like you're messing with your sensitivity of your aiming, your all of that. It's like nothing beats just physically being able to do it with yourself. And then you die. Like let's say you're shooting and you lose. Like it doesn't feel like a game fault like it sometimes does in flat screen. It's you be like, no man, I messed up my reloading or I dropped my magazine, whatever. And it's just so much more realistic. So it's hard to go back.
Yeah. Those moments where like, the pressure's on and it's like
Mhm.
on you to get a new clip in your gun. If you're like not smooth and you can't keep your head, then you're going to lose there. So yeah, to your point, VR just brings a level of immersion that we can't get on the flat screens. And this, listen, I'm not going to say it again. Okay. Go play Team Beef ports and start with Doom 3 because it's super, super sick. Well, thanks for checking in on the XR Update X account with me, Damien. A couple of news blurbs there. Those news blurbs were taken from xrupdate.com. So definitely check out xrupdate.com and follow us on Twitter. Actually, why don't you all just take a moment and just go ahead and like and subscribe and follow and do all those things, right? Because why not? If you're
Mhm.
here and you're listening to this, there's a reason for it. So be a part of the XR Update family.
Look at that XR Update studio you are in too. Look all around you, man. That's quite nice.
This is where it's at. Shout out to Skiva, who is here and who built this little set around me. Yeah, it's pretty amazing
Plank by
space.
plank. He
Plank by
was
plank, baby.
out there hammering all in.
All right. Well, I think it's time to introduce today's guests. What do you think, Damien? It's a good
Let's
time.
let's bring it in. I'm excited for this one. So let's
All right.
to
Well,
work, baby.
before we introduce these guys, I think it'd probably be a good idea to take a quick look at this. What an amazing, brand new, and shiny trailer for SkyStrikers. Super hype, and even more hype is joining us now, Hubert and Mebi from the SkyStrikers team. What's up, Hubert? What's up, Mebi? Good to see you guys.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you, Alex, for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
An absolute pleasure to see you guys. It's been awesome working alongside of you guys, helping get SkyStrikers going with coming out of early access, which is super, super exciting. It's going down basically as we speak.
Literally.
Yeah, literally as we speak, it's going down. So really exciting time for you guys. What does it mean for the SkyStrikers team to be coming out of early access and having now an official title coming out on the Quest?
I think it's a great milestone for us, an initial milestone, I would say, compared to like other studios that started in VR, like 2016, very early. You guys have been around for a long time. Our journey in VR only started like a year and a half ago, basically. So we're kind of like, the newbies entering the space. We worked a lot last year to understand the market as much as we could. And it's awesome that we can bring finally something that we're proud of as the first title onto the market. So yeah, hopefully the first of many.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like so many game developing like life cycles last years. So it is actually quite impressive that you guys managed to get a game that looks and plays like SkyStrikers to come to the official store in such a short amount of time. Like how do you do that? Do you just have like a good team, or do you have the right inspiration? Like how did you accomplish this?
Yeah, it's a great question. It started actually as an internal challenge. Our team is kind of like a small indie team. Basically, how we operate is like super fast, super agile, but we're part of a larger company. Inside this company, we had 3 studios. My boss, which is the CEO, wanted to enter the VR market and basically launched a challenge amongst those 3 themes. I'm super competitive, as you probably see also from SkyStriker, because I designed it. But so basically, I took this challenge as like the thing that I needed to win. And basically, in a few weeks, we created the fastest game that we could. The one that I thought was the most complete in just a matter of weeks, basically. And the challenge was in 3 months to go onto the market, release a product that made sense. And from there, we took in all the feedback that we could from the community and developed it into an actual product. So it was a challenge.
Yeah, Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. You guys are like wizards to us. We're just VR gamers over here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how. I still don't know how like TVs work. Like, that's just like mind-boggling to me. You know what I mean? So, like, the fact that you guys managed to get a VR experience up and running in a year and a half is pretty astounding. And I feel like the gameplay is like, you watch the trailer and it's like you can kind of see what's going on there. Gorilla Tag meets Rocket League, I guess would be a way to explain it. Does
That
that
was
sound like?
definitely like the very beginning. I played many games. The two games that stood up for me were obviously Gorilla Tag for the social aspect of it and this incredible movement that allows you to move everywhere on the map, so you can create large environments. And the other one is very random, but I love Walkabout Mini Golf, just because I felt so immersed when I had to look for all the lost balls, and I knew that I wanted to do something energetic as possible with the limitations that we had, because we had zero framework. Basically, we started on an empty Unity project, so we had nothing. But yeah, like I was like, okay, we want to go to this route as energetic as possible. Gorilla Tag plus Rocket League was definitely the initial pitch that I had in my mind.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And Hubert, what are your contributions to SkyStrikers?
So I mainly handle the business development and the marketing, publishing, and also the community management aspect. So I look at myself as the connection between the dev team and our users, and also to the platforms. Um, yeah. So when I joined the team, which by that time, SkyStriker just launched on App Lab, and the whole team was still exploring the market. And I came from a film background with a bit of distribution um, experience there, and also had some VR content distribution experience before. So really, I understood that our goal was to do everything we can to get the game onto the Quest platform. So we started trying to build relationship and learn from the experts within the industry. That's one thing I loved about the VR community, is that everyone's very open, is very willing to share, to collaborate together, to work together, and everyone wants to help each other grow. So within a very short period of time, we have kind of established connection with majority of the publishers that was there on the market at the time, and also with a lot of the game developers that have had some pretty good projects, successful projects in the market, and we actively explore different kind of partnership with them. So we've done co-publishing deals with other publishers and developer. We have done project investment deals in it, and through that, we kind of learn the ins and out of what it's like to build this relationship with the platform, what the platform publisher and developer relationship is like, and slowly through different chances through serendipity in some ways, and also attending different conferences, we got in touch with the folks at Meta, and kind of showcasing them that we're serious about being in this field. We're making progress. We're learning on our own, and we made a good game. And on not only on the business end, but also on the community end, we were able to attract a very solid community. It's not big, but we have a solid 1,000 now, 1,600 people in our Discord server that are
Hey, that's
and
good.
we have very dedicated player that have spent thousands of hours on the games. So that really helped us grow and really gave us a lot of confidence earlier on. And I think that's also something that the platform saw. And slowly but surely we build that relationship, and we got a game on the store.
That is awesome. And I love that you mentioned going to conferences. Like, I really don't think it can be understated how valuable it is to be in the room. That's kind of like the way I usually explain it. It's like, you have to be in the room. And I will like do everything I can to make sure I'm at as many conferences as possible, because being in the room is so valuable. There's so many opportunities to meet people, make connections, and rub elbows with the people who are doing the thing. I know, Damien, you've like started hitting up conferences a little bit more lately, and you can probably speak to the power of attending these things a little bit too nowadays, huh?
Yeah, it's a game changer for creators, but also importantly for developers as well too. Like you said, all the rubbing of elbows, the mingling. It's like there's so much opportunity there. And let's be real, even just seeing all the faces that we see remotely all the time in person is a pretty
Um,
cool aspect as well too. So conventions for both creators, developers, everyone in the industry, they're if you can, it's a must do for sure.
Yep. Yep, because you guys met the Impact team. We had Eric and Natasha over at a conference in China earlier this year, and that's kind of how our relationship kicked off. And then when MetaConnect rolled around, we just got to bump into each other after working together at there and like meet in person for the first time. And that was an awesome moment too. So I live for those moments, getting to connect with everybody in real life. It's really good.
yeah.
It's really helpful. Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you said, even if the first time maybe you cannot get too much out of it just by being there and like seeing the faces, I went from going to no conferences to going to basically all the conferences last year, and like after 1, 2, 3 times that you see the same people, just passing them by, going to the bathroom, they start saying hi to you and they know who you are. It helps a lot. Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, one thing that I always stress is just how amazing the VR community at large really is. Like you could approach anybody at that place with your hand out and being like, "Hi, I'm Alex," and they will shake it and you will make a friend.
Yeah.
Like it is so easy to network within our VR space because everyone shares that same vision, everyone shares that same passion. And yeah, like if you're listening to this and you've been like waffling on whether or not you should be going to CES or AWE or GDC or any of these events, the answer is yeah. You should probably be
No,
there.
for sure. I think not only do we share the passion, we also share the struggle. I think that was another point that I think developing a game can be a very lonely road, and you could kind of be stuck in your own path, and you're sitting there thinking, am I the only one that's going through this? What am I doing wrong? And I think, at least from my end, we're relatively new to this when we started doing this, and going through conferences, talking to people. What really helped me was that I started to realize the struggles and the questions that I have, that I was going through. I'm not the only one that's going through it. Everyone is still figuring this thing out. Some people have figured different ways of approaching different problems. But just like you said, have those conversations and talk to the people that are going through all these with you. Although not in the same place, but at the same time, it's a really good experience as well. It kind of helps you keep pushing and know that, hey, you're doing the right thing. Some people are resonating with what you're doing, and that kind of helps you to push for that next couple of months until you might meet them again somewhere else.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, and you guys, you said you have like a 1,500 person Discord with like a bunch of active players. To accomplish that in early access is not I don't know, typical. I wouldn't say like every game has 1,500 people in their Discord in early access jamming and playing and improving their skills and competing. What is it about SkyStrikers that you think resonates with your audience?
I think there wasn't the necessity of like having the game that is a little bit more complicated than like some of the games on the market. A lot of the, we try to target a niche, so we're aware of that. Our issue is going to be, like trying to make the game much bigger. But there was the need for some of the players to have like a more like, high skill cap or high skill ceiling to some of the sports games that were that were compared to the ones that were available on the market. I mean, the fact like VR is new, right? It's still hopefully we all hope that VR is gonna grow and grow and become much bigger than it is now. But it's not a completely new market, right? It has been around for a while, and a lot of developers correctly approached at the beginning, to cater to the more casual players and all the aficionados that want to come in and try, all the new features and the immersive feature compared to the normal games. But I think that right now we are more we're kind of like transforming a little bit more into an evolved stage of the industry where more free-to-play games are going to be available. A little bit more complicated mechanics can be digested by the players. And we try to enter in this space basically for the people that wanted to, transition away from some of like a little bit more the easier titles. That was like the idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you can have a competitive esport that is free to play without pay to win mechanics. Like those types of games are the type of games that I have gravitated to throughout my life. I've played games like Rocket League and Smite on the flat screen side that provide this insanely high skill ceiling, but you can get in for free and play. And competitors need that, especially when they're like trying to find the game that resonates with them. Where they want to find their team or their squad or whatever. Damien, is this the kind of game that you would get into? Are you a competitor?
Well, I was actually going to comment. I think what you guys are hitting so good with the formula for it is the best free-to-play games are easy to learn, but hard to master. Like you want people to be able to hop in and play it quickly, but you don't want them to hit that skill ceiling easily. Like you want that skill ceiling to be, the sweats of the game are so good. So I think you guys have a good formula with that where, you can hop in, you'll learn the game, you'll have some fun, but for the people that really want to be a skilled player, and that's where I tend to get hooked in games, is the winning aspect. I think it's perfect for them. Those people that want that extra competitive game experience.
Yeah, that was absolutely. I think the point that I want to add is, every game needs to find a little bit like the balance in where they want to stand between the organic complexity and inorganic complexity. When you say, easy to learn, hard to master, is basically this. Like the organic complexity is like all the mechanics that you play with, right? That's kind of like the difference between Dota and League of Legends. Both games are amazing, and they're both super competitive. One has more complicated organic complexity, like the basics are more complicated. Some would say that the ceiling is also higher. I think that every game needs to find a balance that makes sense for them. We try to have as easy as possible mechanics, but try to turn up the organic complexity a little bit to try and have a much higher inorganic complexity in the end. That's basically kind of like where we want to stand, and where we will try to keep on improving the game in the future.
Man, I don't know if I've ever looked at a game like this from that perspective. That's really good. That totally makes sense. But yeah, I've never thought about it like how there's like the organic complexity versus like the high end like skill ceiling complexity. That's super, super interesting. And it's cool that you compared two similar games and like really can kind of draw the differences between the two, which kind of leads me to my next question. So we explained this game as Rocket League meets Gorilla Tag, but if anybody's paying attention, they know that Gorilla Tag is actually coming out with a Rocket League, right? Like another Axiom is coming out with a game that will pretty much be in direct competition with what you guys are doing. So I'm wondering, like, have you guys been keeping an eye on Orion Drift, I think it's called? Have you been keeping an eye on that? Like, and in what ways do you see you guys kind of separating yourselves from that game?
Absolutely. I think, well, first of all, I think Carousel is making, an amazing game, and they have much more experience than we have in creating a big community. I look forward to what they're creating. When we created SkyStrikers, there was no news about Orion Drift, and there was no news about Echo VR stopping, basically. Right. So we created it because we thought there's going to be a lot of those players that want to have basically a little bit more complicated experience. They want to have a stronger game loop, not just the movement, right? That's what we went for. And I think we basically probably had the same vision, because definitely they went kind of like for the same thing, transition those players that they have to a little bit more complicated kind of rule set, basically. I think that Orion Drift seems to be like a giant game. They declared that they can have like 200 players in the server, which is still mind-boggling to me. And the way that we want to differentiate from them is try to be a little bit more like high curve than them. So I don't have the access to the game. I just saw all the videos that they post online, or all the influencers and YouTubers. But it seems that they went much harder on the social aspect of things. The organic complexity, what we just said about like the mechanics, they're much more easy. You have the boost mechanic, and you have the ball handling, which can be super high skill in itself. But those are like kind of like the two things that you master, and obviously the positioning in the team. But that's kind of like a skill that we transfer from Rocket League and all those other types of games. Instead, our game wants to be a little bit more complicated than that. We have different classes. We don't have just one character. Currently, we launched the title with 3 different classes, Prime, Jetstream, and Bulwarp, that they are respectively kind of like a little bit more offensive, controlling midfielder, and defensive class. Each of those classes has completely different movement mechanics and ability, different skill sets. Bulwarp teleports the ball, places a shield. Prime rocket jumps into the air. So they're very different. And I think that this is the way that we're going to differentiate ourselves from them.
Totally. Yeah. A class-based game versus one where everybody's using the same kit is a significant difference. So many strategic elements that enter when you start doing class-based stuff, which I love. I love both, honestly. I think there's a really good reason to play games that are class-based, so you can kind of specialize and find like your own little niche within the gameplay. And then there's also like I love just being on an even level with everybody, same kit, same stuff, like pure skills, like who's better. It doesn't matter how you're matched up. So yeah, I like the class-based the approach that you guys are taking here. I love playing a class, so I think that's a good way to go.
And I love that 2 different developers saw the same vision and are approaching it in different ways. And it's not a one or the other. Like you said, class-based versus even playing field, they're different and both work great. So it's great that there is this void in the market for this style of game. And now players are going to have 2 different options of which style they want to go with as well. So It's great just to see the market explode like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I imagine you guys have esports in your sites for this community. You want to do some esports with SkyStrikers?
Yeah, Hubert, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, we ourselves within the community. This is kind of more of a natural evolution of what the game itself, and when you have a decent amount of players that are competitive, that spend thousands of hours in the game, like literally thousands of hours in the game, that a competitive league is something that will get born one way or the other. So we do have a self-run competitive league within the community that's kind of just self-organized. There's players that forming teams and doing mini tournaments, but we also are hoping to work with a more professional VR eSports league that to host professional tournaments for our games with cash prizes to really showcase the competitiveness within VR in our game onto like a higher level, and to gain more eyeballs on this. And also it's a step that we really want to take to know that, okay, we have done the individual players that they can find online. Now if we elevate this into a more professional setting, into a more esports setting, what would that look like? How can we kind of break onto another level of what how this game will look like, or how this game will be perceived, and also what other gameplay can show? Because I think for Rocket League, one of the big things that it's been so popular is that there's constantly new moves that's coming out, that's being created by different players, that so people are trying to create new stuff, are anticipating new moves, new tricks. We feel like that we have not seen the limit of what these classes and these games can look like, and we want to see the new stuff that's done by the players.
That's such a cool point that you just made, because like in Rocket League, like what do they call it? There's like a muzzy flip or something like that. It's like, and that's named after the guy who did it first. Like so the community really is like contributing to the meta at like a very high level, like where moves are being named after individuals who are doing that stuff. So I'm sure you guys would love to see that happening with SkyStrikers. That sounds so
It only
fun.
happened one time so far. I think it was kind of like the moment where I felt like, okay, we have something on our hands. It was probably like 4 months in, so only 1 month after we released the first version. And a guy basically named Bomb Pop, a mechanic where you hit with the bat and then immediately shoot a rocket afterwards to like double boost the ball basically. And I loved it, and we still name it like this after what he named it basically.
I love that. That's so good. So I'm kind of curious about like the community and the trajectory of our VR communities. like kind of like, I don't know, I want to do a little future tripping, I guess, because right now, like the Gorilla Tag community and the games that have spawned as a result of that kind of unique locomotion system are primarily younger kids, you know, like from ages from, I don't know, probably insanely young. Like I've heard like 4 and 5-year-olds in VR before, which like mom and dad, you should probably wait till your kids are double digits to put them in VR, just saying. But still like 8 years old to, you know, maybe 15 years old is kind of like where I see a lot of those communities are built out of. And I'm imagining it's probably similar for SkyStrikers, right?
Yeah, a little bit older, maybe just because the game is more complicated, fortunately or unfortunately. But
I mean, these kids are
right
the
now.
future.
Like, if I need to give you a target audience, I would say like between kind of like 13 and 18, with the median being around 15, something like that.
Got it. Yeah, I'm wondering, like, do you foresee this like massive wave of young VR users just like never putting the headset down and like turning into like VR power users in the future, kind of like how we all became like power users of games as we grew up to become adults by growing up with these games. You know, because like there's a YouTube out there, J-Man Curly. Shout out to J-Man Curly. 3 million subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
3 million subscribers making Gorilla Tag content. So I can't help but wonder, like, are those 3 million plus kids all gonna like stay here, and are they gonna become like the mainstream of VR in another 5 to 10 years? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Personally, I think so. Like, one of the reasons why we decided to go for this type of game is because we just looked at where the audience was, and we felt like 70% of the market was here, is about this new generation of people, right? The Gen Alpha that comes in and sees VR in a completely different way. You know, us a little bit older people, we saw it as, you know, like we started transitioning some of like the flat screen title and make them more immersive. But instead, Gorilla Tag showed to those young audience that instead you can live in those experiences like a playground. Is kind of like a second reality, basically just digital. You can live there, you can have your friends there, you can have like real social experiences, but in VR. And those people are not going to go away. They're the ones that understand how important those digital relationships are, and I think they're going to stay.
Yeah, I think to add on that, you know, this a real life experience that we had. You know, we held a booth at the Gamescom Asia convention last year. And to be honest, I was worried because, you know, the consensus that we were getting, especially within the offices, that, you know, this game is difficult to learn. You know, people were having trouble to get used to the movement. People were struggling, and we were coming up ways to kind of give tips to all the people just to make sure that they don't struggle when they put on a headset. And then a 5-year-old kid came up that, you know, back then we were still using the Quest 2. The Quest 2 was bigger than his face. Like, you know, we had to tie the strap down as hard as he can. He puts a headset on and he just directly jumped into the game, and he knew. He didn't have any issue moving around. He was able to fly around, he was able to hit the ball. And I think that really showed. I think, and it's also kind of the value of these conventions to be able to see users playing your game in real time. You know, that's very rare. You don't get to see that as VR developers. You know, you see reviews, but you don't see the experience. You don't see the joy that they get out of it. I think a lot of it also, the reason why VR really resonate with a lot of the younger audiences is that because they come in as a blank slate. They didn't have a preconceived notion of what gaming should be, how you should control a certain character. You know, even if you play POV games, they come in accepting that this is how you interact with VR games. VR games is no longer just a type of gaming that we do, is its own category. So they come in and they completely as a blank slate. They learn the mechanics. They learn this is how you move, because intuitively it makes sense. You move around with your hands or with your legs, you know, or just interacting with the immersive environments that you're in. So once you get that kind of as the base code into their mind, they will be able to accept anything you put in front of them right away. So I think having that group of people to come build on that foundation and to continue build with, you know, advancing technology and hardware, and also the stuff that you can help out in software, you know, you're gonna have a group of people that will stay, that will accept this for what it is, and you're gonna have a lot of new kinds of stuff that's so out there that a lot of people might not be able to accept it or might not like it right away, or it might be very difficult for certain people. But then you're gonna have a huge amount of populations that just live on this. So I think that's what really excites us and the potential that we see. That we feel like the scene is here to stay. We don't know what it's gonna look like, but it's gonna be here one way or the other.
Dude, you guys keep saying such good stuff. Like I've like you really hit the nail on the head. Like that's what makes the Gorilla Tag movement so special is that it's an interaction with your environment. Like tilting a thumbstick is not an interaction with your environment. Slapping the ground is, and you're immersed. So interacting with your environment to move makes way more sense than tilting a thumbstick to move forward. And that's the first time that's clicked. You guys are like blowing my mind with a lot of your perspective. I really appreciate it.
I'm not saying that using your joystick or thumbstick is a bad thing. Like it's a perfectly it's there for a reason, but then it's that to introduce it right away, that you put into something and say, hey, don't move with your thumbstick. Let's move in the other ways. That's not possible in any other forms before. So I think that's kind of the demarcation between the two group of people.
Yeah. What are you thinking about, Damien?
I mean, I think it's huge that kids are growing up with this technology. Like I'm sure you experience this when you tell people your age about VR. You have to convince them a little bit about the medium if they've never used it before. Like, no, it's fun. We have this game, this game, this game. They have to be convinced to it, much like I had to be convinced to a smartphone when smartphones first came out. Exactly. I was like, oh no, we're not going to abandon the flip phone. Kids these days, smartphone, they pick it up, they know how to use it. It's the same thing with VR. There's no convincing that's going to be needed to these kids when they're 18, 25, 30. VR is just another piece of tech. They instinctively know how to use it. There's no like novelty. It's not new. It is just a part of their world. And I think that we can't understate how huge that is. It's like, this is a whole generation of kids that are growing up with this, the same as TV, as a Game Boy. It's just another piece of tech. And that's going to be what brings VR to the next level, is this kind of younger age group that might annoy the people my age in multiplayer experiences sometimes, but they're going to be the ones that elevate VR to the next level in the next 10 years.
Yeah, and then they're going to have their own conversation like this one that they're having about some other future technology.
Oh, the new generation. Oh,
yeah. It's like, do you remember you have to select the menu with the controllers? And they're like, oh, just use your eyes. Like, just think about what you want. It's going to happen.
They didn't even know how we had it.
I know. It's going to be so funny.
Do you remember screen printing something onto a paper? I'm like, what's paper?
To be honest, they already do it. Like, if you look at 14 years olds discussing on Discord, they're like, oh, the mini games, kids, and like those people that do this and that is like, you're like 3 years apart, dude. It's not that different.
Wait till a kid sees a keyboard and he goes, "Oh my god, it's a real one."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, real one. So what's funny is kids don't know file storage systems.
Oh no,
like they're so used to just typing in a keyword and like searching for stuff that like when you say like, "Hey, where is this file on the computer?" They're like, "What do you mean where?" Like
in the computer.
Yeah,
exactly. So we got to start wrapping this up, guys. But before we do, I just want to bounce the ball into your court one more time and just like, is there anything that's like high level or like really important about what you guys are doing with SkyStrikers that we haven't mentioned yet? That like you really want to make sure that we mention while we're still on the show, or anything about VR in general. But I just want to like make sure we get to like at least one last thing that you guys think is important before we call it.
Since we have a moment, you can
go ahead.
first.
No, Michelle, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just want to say, like, since we're here and we talked a lot about those younger communities, I want to ask to all the other older developers to be a little bit more patient and maybe not jealous of whatever other people do. I think that there is a lot of space for everybody and different audiences. I say this just because sometimes like a GDC or some of those conventions, there's always people that hate on those type of games. I think there's space to understand that the market is varied and it will keep on changing and growing, and I think we can accept it, and we can accept the fact that a lot of games are going to be designed for these younger audiences.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that's a beautiful sentiment to share. SkyStrikers is coming out of early access on the 24th. That is in a mere 2 days, so super exciting. And I think you guys just earlier, maybe late last week, added an update to kind of prepare for the launch. So why don't you just give us a little bit about like what is included in your most recent update and what people can expect when they jump into this game?
Absolutely. Based on recent feedback, we tried to revamp completely our tutorial, and we added a playground area where people, without not online but by themselves, they have more time and no social pressure to just play around in a playground, try all the different mechanics. You can switch class, do like a goalkeeper challenge, a striker challenge, and try to basically a little bit give you space to learn by yourself before jumping into the matches that sometimes can be a little bit stressful because they're competitive. That's basically the main thing that we changed: accessibility.
Yeah, there's also a hollow map that we added in the middle of the hub, so we can really help people navigate the entire area. So now they know there's the street arena that's kind of served as a mini game practice court for people to kind of get used to the gameplay. But then our main competitor arena called Hall of Heroes for rank matchmaking. It's located in the other building, and that's when you go in there and to have games that's 3v3, that's extremely competitive, and there's different ranking that's there. That's kind of the thing that when we added, we also know that the competitiveness it's growing within the community because the users start to get really hyped up or very worked up about ranking. Whether they're dropping or they're winning, there's more trash talk happening, but it's all good. So the competitive level is definitely up. The playtime is also up too. So I highly recommend people check that out to really feel the intensity when you jump into one of the ranked games.
Beautiful. SkyStrikers is free to play, is available to download right now, even before it comes out of early access on Thursday. There are some like cool founders or like early adopter packages and stuff that you can take advantage of if you jump in there in these next week or so. So there's never been a better time to check this game out, especially after you heard from the guys who made it. So shout out Hubert, shout out Mebi. Thank you guys both so much for joining us today and for being involved in the VR space and for jamming out an awesome game in a year and a half. Congratulations on the release, and we're in your corner. So keep up the good work.
It was awesome to be here. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. And everybody help me in saying goodbye to the SkyStrikers team. We'll see you guys next time. Okay. There you have it, everybody. SkyStrikers team, Chamber8 Studios, free to play game, high intensity. I mean, what else do you need, Damien?
Yeah, I think we need to do a me versus you showdown in SkyStrikers after that interview.
Oh, what?
After I said that my dad beats me pretty bad in Blast Down, I don't think my chances are too good, but I'm willing to give it my best.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that you see me as an elder like this. I'd like to think that we're a little closer in age than you and your dad, but I'm up for the challenge. I think, a little one-on-one, a little 1v1 action might help and get us ready for our eventual cooperative bout in SkyStrikers where maybe we team up and take some people on.
Ooh, the best teammates, they know each other first as enemies. So
that's right, baby. That is right. Well, Damien, thank you so much for joining us today. I know we'll see you again on a future episode of the XR Update podcast. And thank you all for listening. We really appreciate you. We do our best to, showcase of our friends and colleagues in the VR space here and touch on some news and stuff. If there's anything that you think the show could use, why don't you just let us know in the comments and we'll take it with a grain of salt. But who knows? Maybe we'll add your suggestion to our workflow here. But I'm enjoying doing this podcast. I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. And we're going to keep the cadence of every 2 weeks. So please like and subscribe and follow us on X and, wherever your social media persona lives, just become a part of the XR Update family there and check out xrupdate.com. Anything else before we wrap this up, Damien?
And check out SkyStrikers coming soon.
Check out SkyStrikers. We've got links in the description below for their Metastore page, for their Discord community, And something that we forgot to mention during the interview, this is the little bonus nugget for anybody who stuck around and caught the whole episode here. In our YouTube description, we have a link to a Gleam giveaway that just started that's being hosted by the SkyStrikers team for a Quest 3S, for an exclusive t-shirt in the with the SkyStrikers logo on it, and some in-game currency too, which always helps to get in there and kind of like, kit yourself out so you can stand out and not be using the default avatars and stuff. So join the Gleam giveaway Discord, join the Gleam giveaway, join their Discord if you're into this, and download the game because it's free. So why not? All right, I think that's going to do it for us here on the XR Update podcast. For Damian Ruffy, host of the Rough Talk podcast and Impact Reality and XRUpdate.com, I'm Alex. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will catch you guys for the next episode. Have a good week. See you next time.